Welcome to the Whiskey Tribe.
That's right.
Today is all about
things you wish you knew.
things you wish you knew whenever you first started getting into whiskey here. So
I got a lot of
basically,
them.
we asked the magnificent bastards in the Whiskey Tribe, what advice can you give for the whiskey beginners? We went to the Whiskey Tribe Facebook, the Whiskey Mooch Instagram, the Whiskey Tribe Patreon, the Whiskey Tribe subreddit, and we asked this question: what advice do you wish you knew whenever you were getting into whiskey? So we're gonna dive right in. There's a lot of things.
This is in no particular order, by the way.
A lot of things. Yeah. So we got.
By the way,
we got Sean Kincaid. Mm-hmm. One of the things you wish you knew.
So, wish I knew that there were very, very few people employed in the selling of whiskey that know much about it. It is depressing how little, especially chains, train their people on what they're selling.
It's a rule of thumb, though.
Yeah.
Because every once in a while you find this delightful angel of knowledge and enthusiasm that just makes the entire experience fantastic. Right.
But I would just say Google is your friend, and there's a lot of information on the internet about whiskey that should tell you everything you know before you go to the store.
Well, that's one of the main reasons why the Whiskey Tribe channel exists, why we have the social groups, why the Whiskey Vault is doing reviews all the time.
Ager's scoffed one. Not all scotch is smoky.
Yeah.
Some quite sweet and fruity. The majority of scotch being sold, single malt, is not actually smoky at all.
Oh, yeah.
The majority is not smoky.
Yeah, the reputation is that it's smoky. In reality, it's going to be the sweeter stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheaper, sweeter blends. We did a video called $10 versus $1,000 whiskey that's talking about where the diminishing returns point is for starting to get into a lot of, really nice qualities there. We got Sport Beanie.
Sure. Yeah, Sport Beanie.
Sport Beanie. I wish I knew there was an acclimation period to be able to taste flavors past the alcohol. Didn't take long to find out that was a thing, but it would have been nice to know from the beginning.
Yeah, because a lot of people show up on the channel and they watch the reviews, and then they think, oh, I'm not getting any of that, so I must be broken.
Graham cracker and almonds and sea salt? What are you on about?
The bruised exterior of an apricot. Yeah. The reality is, picking up smells and tastes is pattern recognition, and you can't recall patterns you haven't built. So just know, if you're starting from scratch in any category, food, beverage, you have to create the patterns before you can recall the patterns. That doesn't mean you're broken.
Malt minted. I wish I would have known that older whiskey doesn't mean better. It just means different.
It means older.
Age isn't everything, and different distillates react to aging in different ways. But more often than not, 5 to 8 years in a quality active cask is better than 20 years in a reused cask.
Well, again, that's a taste preference.
Yeah.
But I fundamentally agree that age is not necessarily going to tell you whether you're going to like something.
Absolutely.
And that age means something totally different in Scotland than it does in America.
Yeah. It's very closely related to climates and how much that environment is causing it to interact with the wood.
New oak, used oak.
One of the things related to age that I think I would have liked to have known, not that it affected any decisions, but all of my experience was based on just wine and how old wine is.
Right.
And wine ages in a bottle after it's bottled. It continues to mature.
Right.
Whiskey, not so much.
No, it doesn't.
There's a lot of people out there that have, this was a 13-year-old whiskey back in 1972. Now it's this many. He's like, no,
it's still 13-year-old whiskey.
That's 13-year-old whiskey, yeah.
As CR Mac 27 says, I wish I would have known that price doesn't denote quality.
And again, I think a good recommendation is that video we talked about earlier, $10 versus $1,000 whiskeys.
What he finished with was, I wish that I had known then how many sippable cheap whiskeys I could have been enjoying.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in bourbon.
You know what? Let's do this. Let's recommend the video that we did. I think it's actually on our other channel.
The Vault channel, the
Whiskey Vault channel. No, this is Best Whiskey for the Money.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Best Whiskey for the Money. I'm going to link this up here. Now, before you bail, like and subscribe. While you're at it, even if you are subscribed, don't forget to hit that bell to get notifications, because these days subscriptions on YouTube don't really mean that much.
It just means that you'll find it if you try to scroll through your subscriptions, but it won't actually tell you when we do something.
Yeah, so we're doing at least one video a week on here, and you may not ever see it if you don't have those notifications on. What's the next one? Facebook
brought us Dan Lorick, who said, you know what, I wish I'd had general profiles of the various styles.
Oh! You know how helpful we are? The video where we did all of the whiskey word clouds, the categories.
Scotch, bourbon, rye.
We asked the community of Magnificent Bastards, whiskey lovers, they sent in all of their main flavors that they get whenever they try Irish whiskey, or bourbon, or Scotch.
Or you look in there and there's some interesting notes in there that are put in there just so they would show up in the word cloud.
Well, they are the magnificent bastards.
That helps.
Oh, it's so helpful to be able to see, here's a word cloud of Irish whiskey in general, or bourbon in general, or Scotch in general, the different kinds of Scotches in general, and see what are going to be the most dominant flavors you often get from those categories.
Right.
That video is linked up. Yeah.
Jonas M.K. Nyert said, I would have been interested in knowing what flavors that I was finding were coming from the cask versus from the spirit and the grain.
Now, yes. See, I'm still exploring that.
Yeah.
I have a better read on it now than I did, a few years ago.
You never get done studying that.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because understanding what comes from spirit and what comes from barrel changes the impact based on American versus Scotland versus, there are all kinds of different ones. You know what I'd recommend for that?
Right.
Lou Bryson's book, Tasting Whiskey.
Okay.
There's a graph in there where it shows the things that accelerate and then diminish over time in a barrel, how things start and how they end over time. And you can see different points at which everything comes together and balances.
Yeah.
And it's different for bourbon and different for Scotch.
Yeah,
but
right.
It's a great graph.
Jamie Hall. New people should know that there are no stupid or unwelcome whiskey questions. She should put.
Just stupid people.
She should.
Oh, sorry. What?
I wish I had a place like this to ask questions early in my whiskey journey. Hell, I still ask questions. She's talking about specifically in the Whiskey Tribe. Rule number 1. Best whiskey is the whiskey you like to drink.
The way you like to drink it.
Yeah. So, in the Whiskey Tribe, there should always be top shelf, good-natured ball busting.
Yes.
But that's always meant in jest, and it's never toxic, and there's no ill intent there.
But I love how much this group is truly helpful.
Yes.
It's one of my proudest things about this group.
It's teasing your buddies while we all collectively learn about whiskey.
Now, Mike Lysick said, it's important that people understand there's a huge range of spending, especially in this group.
Yeah.
And so some people have a larger budget. Don't feel bad if you've got 2 bottles of whiskey.
Right. I have 2 bottles of whiskey.
Yes, it's true. I have to bring whiskey to Rex's house when I want to drink whiskey.
Because I won't share my 2 bottles.
Mark Rosen.
Mark Rosen. Taste is subjective.
Yes, it is.
Drink what you love and never mind what anybody else thinks.
Which is the whole
Take your
point.
time to develop your palate.
Yes.
It's a weird thing. More so with whiskey than I think a lot of other types of food and drinks. People so self-identify with their preferences.
Yeah.
That as soon as somebody doesn't like the whiskey, it feels like they're personally attacking. It's like, dude, you're not your whiskey preferences.
Like, you never find anybody in the grocery store and being like, I eat wheat bread only.
Wheat bread sucks. I hate wheat bread.
Yeah, it's sourdough all the way, motherfuckers.
Oh, wheat bread.
Why would you do that? As a matter of fact, what Joey said next, Joey James Hopus said, I wish I knew how much water, the glass, the temperature, and ice can change what I'm tasting.
Okay.
So forget about having your own preferences. Even your own preferences can change based on all the other ingredients.
Here's the situation we're running into. Because we've done an episode about how, when, and why to add water to whiskey. I may have run out of the 5 cards, the 5 things I can link out to.
Oh, okay.
So there's a tribe episode, how, why, and when to add water to
only do
whiskey.
5, huh?
There's also an old episode on the tribe talking about different kinds of whiskey glasses.
That's right. There's a lot out there.
Just look on the channel.
Yeah. Matt Sullivan said, maybe popular cocktails.
Because coming into a whiskey group, right? You see everybody drinking it neat.
And a Glencairn.
And the more they've done it, the higher and higher proof it is. You got cask strength. And for people that are starting out, you tip a little cask strength bag, and it feels like it's taking the enamel off your teeth.
It might be, actually. It's George Stagg Jr.
Yes. But no, to start out, basically, whatever is comfortable and enjoyable for you. So some cocktails are lovely, playing with some ice. And again, we did an episode on the best whiskeys to mix with Coke. Kevin Hicks, it's okay to put the cork back in and save for another day.
Yeah, this is not wine.
Yeah.
You don't have to finish the bottle or it's going to go bad. This can last for years.
Yeah. And
it's important that you remember that.
So there is a certain point where the bottle's super low and there's a lot of air in there. Then it's arguable how much that air could affect
But
the
even then,
whiskey.
that's only affecting it if you open and close it constantly.
Right.
If you leave it sealed,
then you're
it
going to be
eventually
good
equilibrates.
for a long time. You're going to be good.
Pace yourself.
But if you want to share...
So Ryan Halliday said, what about some starter
Hold on.
bottles?
I'm making my pitch.
You're trying to share?
I'm making the pitch.
Oh, okay.
Help me, I wanna be more than just a friend. I'm looking for clothes.
I did a kissy face.
Yeah, I'm cutting away.
Did that take it too far?
No, I cut away. I'm going to cut away from you.
Oh.
Because just being in the room with that,
Yeah. It's uncomfortable?
it's not good.
We'll have to call HR again.
I'm HR.
I thought Emma was HR.
Oh.
Ryan Halliday said, some starter recommendations on starter bottles. What do I start with, and what should I be looking for? And that's if you combine
that's so
best whiskey for beginners.
Right. So there's another video on our whiskey
on the vault.
It's our whiskey review channel. It's the top 10 whiskeys for beginners. I'll just put it in the description below. We're running out of space.
Yeah, we are.
Let's put it in the description below. And the thing is, it's so subjective. So that video combined with the whiskey WordCloud video, right, whiskey tasting notes, that'll be helpful. That'll help you point in the right direction.
Oscar Madison said, I wish I'd known that my bank account would be a part of a scorched earth policy, leaving nothing behind but whiskey. That's true.
Yeah. But best whiskey for the money. There you go.
Again, be responsible. Don't pay your rent.
Yes.
You don't need whiskey that badly.
Right. and it doesn't have to break the bank. There's oftentimes you'll see people talking about these rare, expensive bottlings. They'll be tasty and delicious. But you can get most of the way there with some fairly affordable bottlings.
Danny Mackey said, one of the things I had a hard time understanding was all the different acronyms people use for whiskey instead of just saying it. So it's usually in the winter I prefer an SB12CS.
Right.
But right now, now that it's summer, I prefer an EWBIB on the rocks.
Yeah, the BIB is quite nice there. You got
So there's a Springbank 12 cask strength.
Right.
And then Evan Williams bottled in bonds. Yeah, it does get annoying.
The acronyms we touch on a little bit, but there's an episode
We
called...
should do an acronym episode.
Well, we did an episode called Whiskey Bottle Terminology.
Yeah, but that's different than acronyms.
It wasn't acronyms. Maybe we do an acronym episode. Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe. But Whiskey Bottle Terminology.
Yeah.
Ran out of room. I'll put it in the description below, but it goes through all of the terms and things that you'll see on a bottle.
Just ask the question in the tribe.
A lot of them mean nothing.
Right.
Like handcrafted.
Yeah,
nothing. Small batch.
Nothing.
Some things actually have legitimate legal regulations attached to them. It's a whole episode about that. Yeah.
David Moreland says, I wish I'd known that I could sit with whiskey for an hour and I didn't have to polish it off in 5 minutes. So yes, patience with the bottle, but also patience with the glass.
Yeah.
Whiskey opens up and evaporates a little and changes over time.
Sure.
I'll try to sit, 30, 45 to an hour with a full glass of whiskey.
Well, and it's if you're doing a neat pour. If you're doing a cocktail, the ice is going to melt, and so you're going to get through it a little bit more quickly. But
one thing I didn't keep, actually, and I forgot who said this, so my apologies.
Right. These things, there's a lot of other really smart, amazing, magnificent bastards that said the same thing. We just grabbed the first ones we saw.
That's right.
So this person gets credit along with a whole bunch of people that said a very similar thing.
Exactly.
You don't get credit. Thank you anyways.
That's right. The Tabacaro guys, had this version of if you put ice in whiskey, as soon as it reaches the temperature you prefer, take the ice out. I don't know why that never occurred to me.
Hold on, that made me feel really dumb.
Yes!
Amazingly
It's
dumb.
so obvious. Never have I thought of that.
Right.
Never.
Right.
Not one time.
Right.
Every time I always think it's at the right temperature, gotta drink it faster.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me, just take the ice out, you idiot.
Wow.
Why are we even here?
We
have failed the people. So on Patreon, Caleb Blagg,
right.
He said, I wish I'd known how much your palate changes based on what you've eaten, time of day, temperature, and so on.
Okay, your perception of the whiskey is going to change quite a bit depending on the time of day.
Oh yeah.
Also, based on what you had previously, it will change a lot. If you had a different whiskey right before it, there have been whiskeys that I've been tasting on the show. Game changers, phenomenal. And then I come back 2 weeks later, it's like, wait a minute, this is a different thing.
Yep.
And vice versa. Something I tried on the show, not really impressed, I don't really like it.
Painted it later.
Revisit, yes. So whiskey is absolutely worth revisiting several different times.
Absolutely.
Yeah, different glasses, ice, without ice, play with it, add some water, any number of things, because you could dial in that perfect combination for you to really enjoy that whiskey. This is Matt.
Actually, no, don't. That's a whiskey that we're both going to be drinking something that qualifies as what he's about to describe.
Okay.
Matt said, I wish I'd known sourcing is not inherently bad, evil, or lazy, as long as
you're transparent about it. Right. Explain to people what sourcing is.
Sourcing.
This isn't only in whiskey, it's in wine and beer and coffee, any number of things.
Yeah, but in whiskey, sourcing is when you bring something into your distillery you didn't make, and then you bottle it and sell it.
Right.
Now, sometimes you may age it a little longer. Sometimes you may just bottle it.
Sometimes you may blend it. Sometimes you may finish it.
No matter what.
You didn't distill it. It's distilled somewhere else.
That's right.
Yeah.
As long as everyone's telling and letting you know,
right.
It leads to a lot of really magnificent tastes and profiles. And I will tell you, we had the MGP guys here yesterday. And
he's mentioning MGP.
Yes, Midwestern Grain Products. MGP
Because
is
one of the largest sources of whiskeys in the country.
Yes.
Yeah.
If anybody is sourcing whiskey in the U.S., there's a high likelihood that MGP is a part of that storyline.
Right.
We brought them in, and I said, look, I'm going to open up the first bottle we ever released, Chapter 1, which was 2.5-year-old whiskey, and then we set it here in Texas for 1.5 years.
Right.
So by the time we bottled it, it was 4 years old.
Yep.
And it had spent 1.5 years in Texas.
Yeah. Climate, the heat, Yeah,
and I poured it for them, and it blew their minds. Like, look, one of the guys, like, I've been working at MGP for years. I've never tasted anything like this from our products.
Right. So places like MGP, and it doesn't have to be MGP. No. Any number of, like, if a distillery will sell another distillery their whiskey, they're sourcing that whiskey.
Yeah, we source from several Texas distilleries. We source from Wyoming.
And we're also making our own stuff. The way we look at it is at the Crowded Barrel Whiskey Company, we want to do all of the things with the Magnificent Bastards. We're going to be blending, we're going to be sourcing from weird, interesting places.
Yeah.
All things are fair game when it comes to whiskey, as long as people are just transparent and honest about what they're putting in that bottle.
This is a great list, but so that means that I get to avoid shenanigans this week?
Oh no, there's one final thing that I really wish I knew, Daniel, when I first started getting into whiskey. I appreciate you dropping by. Here's the thing, one of the videos that we didn't mention that I think would be particularly helpful for the whiskey beginners, it's the hacks video, the 10 whiskey hacks for tasting and smelling, because one of the biggest hurdles is dialing in on those specific flavors, those specific notes, and any little tips and tricks that you can do to pull back the curtain of alcohol.
That's true.
Before I get into this 11th hack, if you guys have a specific piece of advice for whiskey beginners, put it in the comments below. Thank you. Now, there is one hack that I don't even think you were aware of. This is similar, it's in parallel to the tip that if you're trying to identify flavors and notes in a whiskey, both in smelling and in tasting, it's often helpful to go get the notes you often hear about, like vanilla and apple and brown sugar, so you can be doing comparisons to see if you can find. But that's kind of, it's a little bit of a vague, fuzzy process of A-B comparison. There are very specific muscles connected to the tasting receptors in your palate and in your brain that you need to, it's related to turgor pressure.
Turgor pressure?
Like Google it, turgor pressure. It's a thing. And it's whenever you apply force and pressure to these activator muscles in your mouth.
Okay.
It opens up the channels of taste and flavor perception. You're looking up turgor pressure.
Turgor pressure.
All right. We'll wait for him to Google. I'll cut whenever he comes back, and he will explain to us that turgor pressure is basically the pressure of cell walls in organic matter and how much pressure it takes to pierce the cell walls.
Right.
There is a symbiotic relationship between the activator muscles in your mouth and the turgor pressure in the specimen you are biting into, and then the taste and flavor receptors in the brain.
Okay. I'm just going to have to take your word for it.
Okay. No.
I'm too
so happy
right now. This is why I'm so nervous.
No, I'm so happy that I have just discovered the 11th hack.
Okay.
11th whiskey hack.
Bring it on.
Bourbon, apple is a very common flavor.
Yeah.
Now, there's a whole nother dimension to the apple. First, pour yourself a glass.
All right.
And me a glass while you're at it.
Okay.
Turgor pressure the apple. That means basically bite the apple.
All the way until you're eating it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No. We've activated the muscles. The flavor receptors, they're dialed in. Now go back to the whiskey.
It's pretty tasty.
It is.
It's like bourbon apple pie.
We're uncovering specific notes. This is Glendola 13.
Yeah, it's a good one.
What's a note that you always wish you could pick out in the Glendola?
Buttercream and pepper?
Like a banana buttercream?
Sure. Oh, I really don't like bananas.
So we're going to search for the banana buttercream.
Okay. It's just a good whiskey.
Come on.
It's just a
no,
good
hold on.
whiskey.
What are you doing?
Oh, wait. You want to bite through the outer's edge?
Turgor pressure. Activator muscles. Cheers.
You're supposed to peel a... Oh, it's mushy.
You feel the activation? Let's go exploring.
That was weird.
It dialed in.
What happened?
It dialed in some not sweet notes.
No, it dialed in all these herbal, like, vegetal notes.
Yeah.
Because it's the damn peel of the banana you put.
No, it's the turgor pressure and the sensors. Maybe, so I think you are...
You learned a couple of terms where you're just unilaterally applying them without any regard for context.
Problem, obviously, is you are biased against bananas.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like bananas. All right, what do you got? Oh, no. Is that cinnamon?
No.
It is cinnamon.
No, it's not. This is my own proprietary blend of spices and herbs, down to the molecular level,
Okay.
tailor-made to help the human palate find flavors more readily.
Did you buy cinnamon from HEB?
Proprietary blend, Royal Broccoli 21-year-old.
Yes, it is.
So we're going to unlock, this is beyond just a single flavor.
Yeah.
My proprietary blend.
It unlocks all the flavors?
All the flavors.
All the flavors.
Maximum efficiency. Cheers.
My mouth is all dry. Ow, it burned. Okay, hang on.
You shut the fuck. You sit down.
I can't swallow.
I need you to endorse my proprietary blend, Daniel. This is millions of dollars on the line.
I can't do it.
Millions of dollars on the line for my proprietary blend.
Hers.
You gonna get it? Huh? Are you gonna get it?
Water?
No.
What?
Swallow.
I can't do it.
The blend don't work if you swallow.
It's so stuck in there.
Don't you badmouth my blend. Don't you badmouth my blend. It is proprietary, you asshole.
Yeah. We bop and hippity hop. I'm as happy as I can be. Boom, 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 and hippity zoom. Love is sweet, love is grand, works one. We bop and hippity hop. I'll never be a millionaire.